United States on Friday imposed sanctions on former Surinamese President Desi Bouterse and 6 former Surinamese military officials for alleged quote-unquote gross violations of human rights. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller, who made the announcement, said the decision of the U.S. government follows the conviction of Bouterse and the 6 other ex-military officers for their part in the so-called quote-unquote December murders, a crime in which soldiers led by Bouterse executed 15 political opponents on December 8, 1982. Bouterse was then commander of the army and de facto head of government of Suriname after coming to power through a military coup on February 25, 1980. 4 family members of 7 convicted ex-military officers are also banned from entering the U.S. However, their names were not mentioned in the statement. Bouterse and the 7 ex-soldiers were sentenced to long prison terms by the court-martial on November 19, 2019. The ex-army leader was given an unconditional prison sentence of 20 years. Bouterse has been placed on Interpol's international wanted list. Cuba on Monday said it would insist the U.S. ease sanctions and end special treatment of Cubans illegally entering its territory at high-level migration talks slated to begin today in Washington. The twice-annual meetings resume in 2022 after being suspended during the U.S. presidency of Donald Trump, and amid a record surge of around 500,000 Cubans illegally entering the United States beginning in 2021, according to U.S. authorities. Cuba is mired in a deep economic crisis characterized by shortages of basic goods, runaway inflation, and blackouts. The talk's stated aim is to promote safe, legal, and orderly migration between the two countries. The United States, the top destination for Cuban migrants, counters that a lack of civil freedom and human rights in Cuba have combined with a state-dominated economy to force its citizens to migrate. The Biden administration has increased legal pathways to migration for Cubans, including visa access to Havana, family reunification, and humanitarian parole programs aimed at stemming illegal migration. The U.S. will not renew a temporary license that widely eased sanctions in Venezuela's oil and gas sector unless progress is made by President Nicolas Maduro on commitments for free and fair elections this year, 2 days before the license is to be expired. The U.S. has been concerned about Venezuela's electoral process and what it sees as Maduro's failure to meet its main promises for the July 28 presidential elections. Quote-unquote, absent progress by Maduro and his representatives in terms of implementing the roadmap's provisions, the United States will not renew the license when it expires on April 18, 2024, the spokesperson said. The Biden administration holds out little hope that Maduro will make enough concessions before Thursday's deadline to satisfy U.S. demands. U.S. and Venezuelan officials met secretly in Mexico last Tuesday, but a source familiar with the talks said they made little or no progress on narrowing their differences. The U.S. provided a partial sanctions relief in October in response to an election deal reached in Barbados between Maduro's government and the opposition. The agreement included the right of the opposition to choose its own presidential candidate. Failure to renew the current license would not rule out the possibility that the U.S. could issue a new, more restrictive license to replace it. Venezuela's oil exports in March rose to their highest level since early 2020 as customers rushed to complete purchases ahead of the predicted expiration of the U.S. license. Venezuela's state-run oil firm PDVSA has said it is prepared for any scenario, including the return of full oil sanctions. Thank you for watching. I am TIANA Cole.